Mark and AJ have both had the opportunity to test CFMOTO vehicles. AJ has done a test ride on one on the show, and Mark has done some write-ups on CFMOTOs in the magazine. I've never had the opportunity to put one of these things through their paces. So when CFMOTO called us and invited us to race the 12 hours of Tuque endurance race in Tuque, Quebec on a brand new CFMOTO, immediately I was pumped to have that opportunity. The 12 hours of Tuque race is a really interesting event. It's a 12-hour endurance race for ATVs, but throughout the course of the 2 days, there are so many different things going on. They race pit bikes, they race trials bikes, they do enduro races, and then, of course, on top of all that, they have a 2-hour endurance race for side-by-sides, which is what we were going to be competing in. The class I'm competing in is the 600 to 800 cc stock class, and CFMOTO really dominates this class, and they've invited not just myself, but all kinds of different media from all over North America to compete on identical vehicles. So as much as this is a competition for me and an opportunity for me to test the CFMOTO, it's also a bit of a competition for the rest of the media against each other. The Z-Force 800, I think, is a very misunderstood vehicle in the industry. People think CFMOTO, they automatically think utility vehicle, but the Z-Force 800 is every bit as performance-oriented as any other performance side-by-side you're gonna find out there. It's got long travel suspension with adjustable piggyback shocks, it's got performance tires, it handles good, it's low slung. This is a performance side-by-side through and through. So, racing it in an endurance race such as this one is perfect to find out just how well it's going to perform.
We see participating in an endurance race of this nature to be critical to our confidence in our equipment. And because the course is so demanding, the stress put on that machine is pretty incredible. And for our machines to every year prove that they not only can finish, but they can take all 3 spots on the podium is a huge testimony to the quality of the machines.
The side-by-side race course at the Tuque race is very unique. It's about 3 to 4 kilometers long. It takes just under 3 minutes to complete a lap, and it consists of a variety of different terrain and different riding styles. So some of it is very flat, some of it is very sandy, some of it's tight, wide, twisty. There's even a little motocross style section right after the finish line. It's a very unique course, and I think it's gonna put the vehicle and the rider through their paces in a big way. So you race 1 hour one day and then 1 hour the next day, and your finish is determined by the number of laps you complete within those 2 hours. I qualified about mid-pack, which meant I was starting right in the middle of the pack of side-by-sides, and we were racing all side-by-side classes on the course at the same time. There was 25 vehicles, and it was a mix of everything from 1000cc modifieds to our 600 to 800cc stock vehicles. So it's pretty intimidating when you're lined up.
Race such as Tuque focuses on obviously the sports aspect of our Force lineup, and in particular our Z-Force is the product that we enter into an event like this, and so that's our sports side-by-side model. We have that in our 800cc, and we do quite well with our 800 up against some of those bigger engines.
Once I got into the racing groove, everything sort of came together. The track changed pretty dramatically from lap to lap because there was a lot of soft ground, and basically just focused on trying to catch the guy in front of me. Anybody I could see in front of me, I either wanted to keep up with them if they were in a faster vehicle, or I wanted to catch them if they were in an equally classed vehicle. And that was how I spent the 1 hour, was just continuously looking ahead of me, looking down the side of the track as I was coming back up straightaways to see who was the next guy that I was gonna run down. After the finish of the first hour of the race, I had no idea where I'd ended up. So when I finally got back, I was very pleased to find out that I was actually in first place, but I knew a couple of the guys that were going to be tough competition from different media outlets who actually race side-by-sides every weekend. They weren't that far behind me. So going into the second half of the race, I knew I had to maintain this small margin of lead that I had so that I wouldn't have to push myself too hard for the second hour and risk breaking something. The name 12 Hours of Le Tuque comes from the actual ATV portion of this event. The ATV racers race 12 hours on the same course that we race side-by-sides on, and they do it in 3 4-hour sections. So they do the first 4-hour section during the first day, then they do another 4-hour section that night, and it runs until 2 in the morning. It was really exciting watching these guys give it 110% at night, and it was my favorite part of watching the ATV portion of the event. Further to just ATVs though, they race trials bikes on a specifically designed trials course, which is, if anybody's seen trials vehicles, it's incredible to watch what they can do. They've got an enduro setup that's actually a sanctioned race for guys who race enduro circuits in Quebec. And there was a ton of those guys riding around. They had a pit bike race. They had a midway area with vendors and different displays, food set up. There was a lot of stuff to do here besides just race side-by-sides.
This is a grassroots event, and we believe in grassroots events as being really important to growing a relationship between CFMOTO and its audience. This year at Le Tuque, we expanded our racer entry into the event by inviting the top media across North America to participate, especially on our racing team. And we were thrilled when Dirt Trax Television and especially Luke Lester took up the challenge and joined us as part of our racing team.
Knowing that this vehicle had a full hour's worth of this type of racing on it already made me more nervous, thinking going into the second half of the race, like, I now have a lead to defend and I don't want this thing to break, but I also know the guys who are behind me are extra motivated to get past me, so I gotta race my hardest. Again, when the green flag dropped, I made a decision to just go for it and figured worst case scenario is I can say I did my best the whole time and rode my hardest, and pleasantly surprised to the max that this vehicle survived another solid hour of even more grueling racing. Not only did this vehicle finish the race without any issues, it performed during the entire 2 hours every bit as well as I would have expected, if not better in many cases. From the suspension to the power, handling was the most impressive thing of all. I was comfortable. Everything about this vehicle exceeded my expectations, and I have to say, I've gone away with a greater appreciation for the level of quality and performance that CFMOTO is building. And I guess the proof is that we ended up, after the 2 days of racing, 2 full hours, in first place over 2.5 laps ahead of the next place finisher. After spending the weekend with the crew from CFMOTO, I have to say they're dedicated to racing. They love racing, grassroots racing. They're dedicated to their product and making sure the product is developed further and gets better and better. They're dedicated to their dealers, they're dedicated to their customers and to creating the best possible consumer experience they can. Overall, CFMOTO is a brand that I think is going to be around for a while, and I think it's worth a close look if you're out there shopping for any side-by-side.
Like to sort of see our future in racing to continue. It's something that's very important to CFMOTO to participate in these kind of events, because we do have a passion for this kind of activities. More than anything, we believe these type of events contribute to building nice and great communities.
If you like this video, click the link and subscribe to Dirt Trax's YouTube page, where we're updating all kinds of fresh stuff like you've just seen.